So good morning again, ladies and gentlemen. I'm back on the stage for the electronic QRH presentation. So thank you, Maxime, for the presentation of the enhancements of the flight operations applications. And I will focus here on this presentation on one of the major enhancements you will have next year. I mean the electronic QRH for the A320, A330, and A340 aircraft. So, as Francis said, a pilot is happy when his operation is easy, efficient, and safe. And the objective of my presentation today is to demonstrate to you that with this new tool, the electronic QRH, your operation will be easier and more efficient. So I will break down my presentation into three parts. First, I will present to you the improvements enabled by the electronic QRH. Then I will present to you a short overview on the ongoing implementation of this new product. And finally, I'll give you some examples on the way you may implement this innovation within your airlines. So let's start with the improvements enabled by the electronic QRH. So as introduced before, Airbus vision is that the flight operations of your Airbus aircraft have to be based on the EFB, and more particularly on the A320, A330, and A340 aircraft. And the objective of the electronic QRH project is to implement this vision on this aircraft. And this objective will be achieved by first suppressing the last paper document on board this aircraft. I mean the paper QRH, that will be replaced by an electronic application called the electronic QRH. On top of that, this change will come with some enhancements of the QRH content data to have the procedures and checklists compatible with an electronic display and operations. So I propose to you first to present the electronic QRH application, and then I will give you some examples on the content enhancements. So for the electronic QRH application, I propose to you to go through a demonstration in which I will present to you the main functions of the electronic QRH, and I will try to demonstrate to you how this application will efficiently replace the paper QRH. So I will go through the initialization of the application, then the EQRH use for normal operations, next the EQRH use to manage abnormal situations, and finally I will present some additional features that will ease your flight operations. So let's start with the initialization. In this example, I will show to you how the electronic QRH will be initialized when full fleet data is loaded in the QRH. So in this example, I will first select the aircraft family. Then I can select the applicable aircraft registration. So in case I have many aircraft in my list of aircraft, I can use the search function to retrieve the applicable aircraft, and I can search by MSN or by aircraft registration. And at this stage, I got the EQRH button available, and I can launch the display of the QRH of this aircraft. And before using the data, I have to check by SOP the applicable aircraft before using the content of the data. Now, the electronic QRH will implement some smart navigation guidance, that it will be compatible with your standard operating procedures. That's why when the EQRH is launched, we got the OOB panel displayed by default for the crew to review the OOBs. Here, for example, I will display the OOB 41, and then I can review the OOB. And like for all the other sections, you will have the possibility to use the swipe right and left to browse into the content of each section. So for the initialization, what you may keep in mind is that the electronic application will be adapted to your constraint, your operational constraint. It means that the electronic QRH may be filled with single QRH when the EFB, for example, is aircraft attached, or a full fleet QRH when the EFB is pilot attached. In addition, the EQRH will implement some smart navigation guidance that will be compatible with your standard operating procedures. Let's move to the second part of this demonstration regarding the EQRH use in normal situations. So after the OOBs are reviewed, and like on your paper QRH, you will have the possibility to switch between content using the tab panels. Here, for example, I will select the NCL panel, and I got the list of my checklists displayed. So the list displayed here corresponds to the content of your data. It means that you will have the possibility to customize your data, and the application will automatically adapt and will display the content of your data. If you remove a checklist, if you add a checklist, the application will adapt automatically. So on the NCL page, I can display any checklist. For example, here I will display the after start checklist. And once the checklist is displayed, I can start performing the different steps. You can see that the display is modified when the step is performed. And when the checklist is complete, I can select the complete button, and the display goes back to the NCL page where the performed checklist is identified by a specific color coding, here gray on black. So the color coding here in the NCL page as well as inside the checklist is compatible with the ECAM color coding to have the electronic QRH fully integrated in your Airbus aircraft. Another function that I would like to share with you regarding the normal checklist use is the reset function. So this function may be used in some specific situations in case a checklist has to be performed again, like a runway change or a go-round. So here, for example, I will trigger a reset from the approach checklist after a go-round. So I have just to select the reset in front of the approach checklist. And once the warning message is acknowledged, I have the approach checklist that is reset, and also all the subsequent ones. This means that here in this possibility, I will have the possibility to access again my approach checklist and to perform it again. So regarding the electronic QRH use for normal operations, you may keep in mind that the electronic checklist is designed to be completely integrated in your Airbus cockpit, either for checklist execution follow-up or for the color coding. And that the checklist will be compatible with your own data. When you customize the data, the electronic checklist will adapt to display your own data. Okay, so let's move to the third part of this demonstration regarding the electronic QRH use for manage abnormal situations. So like for the normal checklist, you will have the possibility to access the abnormal procedures through the dedicated abnormal panel. And here you will have the display of the list of the content of your data. Here again, it's the content of your data. So in this example, I will display the window cracked procedure. So first I select the applicable ITA number. Then I select the corresponding procedure. And I got the procedure displayed. So the objective of the design for the abnormal procedures is to have the main steps and the procedure structure visible to the user at the first glance. And here, for example, you can see that the conditions are collapsed by default to have this structure visible to the user at the first glance. So like for the normal checklists, for the abnormal procedures, you have also the interactivity. So I can start performing checklist by ticking the first item. And you can see here that I have an exclusive display. So I select the applicable condition, and you can see that the non-applicable condition will be displayed differently. It means that it is no more applicable. Then I can go through the different steps of my procedure. And finally, when the checklist is complete, like for the normal checklist, I select the complete button and the display goes back to the abnormal panel. So for the electronic QRH used in abnormal situations, so the objective is to have easier procedure management in this case by implementing the procedure completion follow-up, as well as some new features like the conditional display or the color coding. And please keep in mind again here that the electronic QRH will adapt to your data. It means that it will display the customized data. Let's now move to the last part of this demonstration, where I would like to share with you 3 functions that will show to you how your operation will be easier. So the first function is the function, the procedure activation. Let's take an example. Let's say that during the flight preparation, you know that you will encounter turbulence conditions in flight. So in this case, you will have the possibility to pre-activate the severe turbulence procedure. So first, I locate the procedure in my EQRH. Here I have the severe turbulence, and I can activate it by ticking the star in front of it. Now, let's imagine that we are in flight, so it means that I am performing my normal operations, and I encounter the turbulence. So I have this activated procedure will be available in the working list of the checklist here, and may be accessed directly from this list. The second function I would like to show to you that was really intensively used during the human factor and the operational evaluations we conducted at the beginning of May, and it was really appreciated, is the search function. So the search function in the electronic QRH will search for the procedures containing a specific word only in their title, not in the content. This is the design today. So here, for example, I will search for the procedures containing smoke in their title. So first I select the icon. Then I type smoke in the search area. And I got the list of all the procedures containing smoke in their title. And I can access any procedure by selecting directly in this list. And the last function I would like to show to you was implemented to answer some specific regulation requirements in terms of rapidity of access. It will be the quick access function. So as you can see in the top right of the display, you have a specific icon. So this icon will give you direct access to the current procedure that you have on the cover page of your QRH. So today you have the emergency evacuation. So when I select the icon, I have the emergency evacuation procedure displayed. If you have more than one procedure in your QRH, you will have an intermediate page to select the applicable procedure. So regarding these functions, you can see that we have the quick access to answer some regulation requirements, and we implemented many features to have enhanced and faster access and use of the QRH content. So I have many functions on my device. I will be available on the booth, so don't hesitate during the breaks to come and ask questions if you want. If you have questions, if you want to discover this new tool, I will be available for you. So as I said, we have the electronic QRH application, but we have also the content, the QRH content. So the objective of our work on the improvement of QRH content is to have this content, the procedures and the checklists, compatible with an electronic display and an electronic operation. So the first example, you may have noticed during my presentation that some of the sections of the QRH were not displayed. In fact, in the electronic QRH, we will suppress the gen section and the in-flight performance computation section. The gen section is suppressed because it applies mainly to the paper operation, and the in-flight performance section will be removed as the electronic QRH will be used in combination with an electronic EFB performance computation. Another set of improvements, some wording improvement in the QRH today, because we have some paper wording. We also suppressed the links to the performance tables. And one of the main enhancements is related to the abnormal procedures. In fact, taking benefit from the electronic display, we decided to completely review the abnormal procedures of the A320, A330 and A340. The objective for us is that on an electronic display, as I said before, the procedures, the main steps of the procedures have to be visible at the first glance, as well as the structure of the procedure. And I have two examples later to show to you two concrete examples how we adapted the procedures. So, as I said, first we kept in the QRH only the need to know information, and we rewarded the challenge response, the read and do steps, to have a NICAM-like wording. So two examples here. The first example is of a procedure from the A320 QRH. So as you can see here, we removed from the procedure all the comments, the additional information that were moved to other flight operation manuals like the FCOM or the FCTM, and we kept in the electronic QRH only the steps. And you can see that here in this example, the objective to have the steps visible and the structure of the procedure visible is fully achieved. Another example here. As you can see, thanks to the possibilities of electronic, here we have the bleed fault procedure on A320 QRH that lies on the paper on 3 pages. Here the procedure is reduced, and you see the structure at the first glance. And this procedure was used during the human factor and operational evaluations, and all the pilots agreed that the execution of this procedure on electronic is far more simple than on the paper. So this is for the first part of this demonstration presentation. I would like you just to keep in mind that we are coming with a new concept, enhanced display, thanks to an electronic application, but also to data content. Okay, let's move now to the second part of my presentation, where we are today and what are the next steps. I still have 5 minutes left. So first, we decided to involve the authorities very early in this project, because we know our objective is not only to implement an electronic checklist. You know that there are many electronic checklist products in the markets. Our objective is to develop and approve the first paperless cockpit worldwide. And this is why the EASA and the FIA were involved from 2015 in this project, and they participated also to the human factor and operational evaluations in beginning of May. So the plan today is to have the evaluation activities run with the authorities in the second half of 2016, and we will come up with a generic compliance dossier by the end of 2016. Now, our objective is not to design only applications for regulation, but to have applications that will answer your need, airlines. That's why we decided to involve you, airlines, in this development. So 4 airlines are involved in the project. They participated also to the human factor and operational evaluation beginning of May. And I would like here to thank Brussels Airlines, EasyJet, SmartLynx Airlines, and South African Airways for their outstanding involvement in the project and for the very important feedback they provided to us. So the feedback was in general very positive, and here are 2 comments coming from your pilots. So in general, the electronic QRH application was found faster and more efficient than the paper. The design was also found very intuitive and very simple to use. So what are the next steps? So the rollout of the electronic QRH is planned for you in the beginning of 2017, and it will be available both on iOS and Windows platform, and will be available for EFB customers, either FlySmart customers or third-party EFB customers. So, as Francis said, the paper QRH printing will be stopped in mid-2017, but the QRH will continue to be available for you in XML and PDF format. So just to sum up on the second part, I think that we are on the right track thanks to the positive feedback we got from you. We are on the right track to provide you with a ready-to-operate solution by the beginning of 2017. Now, last part of the presentation, just 2 examples on how will you implement this innovation in your airlines. So the application was designed to have a minimal impact on your existing EFB products. So for FlySmart customers, you are almost ready to operate. It means that you will use the same ground tool as today, the same customization tools as today. And you will also benefit from your existing operational approval thanks to the similarity between the electronic QRH application and the FlySmart application. Now, for the third-party EFB customers, some additional activities may be required. First, you will have to implement the ground tools to administrate and to customize the electronic QRH. You will have also to make an assessment on your third-party EFB for the performance content to ensure that the minimum performance content recommendations are available on your EFB. And finally, you will check with your local authorities the applicable regulation and the level of approval of this new application. So, in conclusion, the eQRH will come with outstanding benefits in terms of flight operations, and it will also enable you simplified and cost-effective documentation management processes. This is, try to remember, because thanks to the application and thanks to the content. What are the next steps? We will run the approvals with the EASA and the FAA in the second half of 2016, and the EQRH rollout is planned in beginning of 2017. And like for the other products, we will provide you assistance. First, the generic compliance dossier will be available for you to help you approve this new application. And we will provide you with an EFB Ops approval service included in the FlySmart approval services. So I'm convinced that the digitalization of flight operation is a must for the A320, A330 and A340 aircraft. This is the last step to have the operation digitalized, and I hope that this presentation will give you enough information to implement this new product in your airlines. Thank you very much.